growing up as a pastor's kid was pretty cool for me. Both my parents were super involved in the church. Dad was the worship pastor, and my mom was involved in choir, and she was also working at the preschool. And so both my sister and I spent a lot of time at Grace, whether we were in school in the preschool or just hanging out because both my parents were there during services and all that kind of stuff. And that was a lot of fun for me. I showed an interest in playing drums because I thought it was a lot of fun. And my mom, out of the goodness of her heart, said, no. I'm sure she just didn't want a loud banging drum set in the house or something. And so one of the things that actually happened that was really great for me is Jared, who's an elder here at Grace and plays drums, he gave me one of his drum sets. And the great thing about it was that it was an electronic drum set. And so I could just put my headphones on and bang away, and it really didn't make that much noise in the house.
So right around 2000, things were just going great. I was getting to play music every week, and Terry was doing a phenomenal job with the kids. I attribute the way they are today to her, the way that she brought them up. It was pretty amazing. One of my bass players on my worship team, he was also our doctor. He called me and he said, I need to see you and Terry at the house. Oh, sorry. And he came in and he just looked at us and he said, the CAT scan came back. Terry has malignant melanoma over her entire body.
So I remember being out at my grandparents' house, my sister and I. We were going to be there for about a week, and my parents came unexpectedly. We thought maybe we were going home early or something, and they sat us down on the couch and told us that my mom had cancer and told us that she only had about 6 months left to live. In that year and a half, she remained a really, really great mom for me. For my 15th birthday, I remember that my dad and I were just sitting on the couch, and randomly he just was like, hey, we need to go fix something at a friend's house. So we went. I didn't want to go, and we got to the house and walked out to the big storage shed, and all of a sudden there's 50 people in the room, and they're all shouting happy birthday at me, and it ended up being a surprise birthday party for me that my mom had put on. As I walked into the door, she was the first one that came up and gave me a hug, and that was right before things got really, really, really hard for her. And so that's one of the last memories that I have of her.
Her last time at church was the very first time Trevor had drummed, and the very first time we had been on stage together.
We went to a wedding for one of my cousins. It was the first time that pretty much ever danced with anybody, and it was a dance with my mom. Everybody else was around and stuff like that, but that's something that has always stuck out to me, that, right before everything happened and before she couldn't walk and had to be in bed and all that stuff, that I got to dance with my mom at a wedding, because she wasn't able to be there for my wedding.
God was so good that he allowed these little nuggets while she was sick that as I look back on them now, he was just making sure that she got to do this, she got to experience that in the midst of her sickness, and I'm so thankful for that. Terry was a fighter. They said 6 months, but she made it 14 months, and never once did she complain, and she taught us all a lesson in what it means to have a faith so strong that you can face death and not be afraid. She wasn't afraid when she died.
Yeah, the funeral for me was a little bit of a blur. It just was really hard to take in. I just remember being surrounded by amazing people that continued to love me and my sister and my dad through all of it. After my mom died, there was a period of just me being really, really angry at God, and I just was really mad that God would do this to me and my sister and take our mom away from us. And that was a really hard thing for me mentally every day. I never really took the time to process that. And so I went through definitely some dark times in high school, but what brought me out of it was realizing that the most important thing about my mom dying was not that she died, but was that she was now in heaven and she didn't have to deal with the cancer anymore, and she got to be with our loving and kind and gracious Father and to see the face of Jesus in person. So in 2009, I joined a band as the drummer. We led worship for another church here in town. We played concerts and recorded an album and all that stuff. And it was amazing and a really, really impactful part of my life. And then in 2013, I met my incredible wife, Amanda. And all throughout our marriage, there's been, just this unsettled feeling. I just wasn't ever able to make music part of my career. And then I found out that there was an open position at Grace Church. And by the grace of God, He opened the door for me to be able to step into that role and make music my career. And what's funny about that is that it's actually a role that my dad used to do, which is pretty cool. Last year, my wife and I had our first son, Leo, and it would be amazing if he grew up to be musically inclined, and who knows, maybe in 25 years, this is Grace's new worship leader.
That'd be awesome.